Thank you very much for joining us today to our online Connect Talk workshop, Taking Control of Your New Normal with Natalie Macaluso. It's really great to see you logged in. I wanted to briefly share a few things about Natalie. For those of you who don't know her, she is the founder of the Orange Side, which is a place to decide what you want, believe you can achieve it, and then build a plan to make it all happen. Working with individuals and teams is her aim for people to live with joy, focusing on life and business. We know Natalie from Chiave Concierge. Actually, she is a member of the Connections community. She founded the Chiave Concierge in 2013, serving high net worth individuals, fixing, arranging for their personal and professional lives, and has been part of our, as I said, Connections community since 2018. Prior to this, she was a theatre producer in London, kickstarting her career in the wake of the financial crisis. But her experience in travel and hospitality started at a young age, working with her family business, H&A Motivation, specializing in mice. So our travel industry really is in her blood. So no matter where she puts her attention, she wants to facilitate positive experiences to allow people to live to their full potential and most importantly with joy. The world has changed us all, and now we find ourselves in this unique situation. And each day we're continuing to learn how to adapt to this new normal. And we're striving to offer, as Connections, we're striving to offer our community with a space to collaborate, to seek reassurance, and to support. Natalie will be helping us to focus on the things that we want in this new normal. So perhaps benefits to our lives that we have discovered and we want to maintain. So we would like you to get involved and share some of your experiences at the end, but you're not obliged to be doing so. So only if you want, you can come forward and share as much or as little as you want. We hope you have come to this session with some ideas about areas that you would like to change or maintain as a result of this new normal that we're in. But before I hand over to Natalie, I just wanted to let you know how it all works and what to expect. Natalie will take us through her workshop, and at the end, she will ask you a few more questions, and you're very welcome to ask her also some questions, so don't hold back. And I sincerely hope you will find this session useful. I'm sure many of you will have used Zoom before, but if not, you can ask questions by using, at any time during the session, by using the chat button, which appears at the bottom of your screen if you hover over it with your mouse. There are a few Connections colleagues that are logged on that can help. There is Gemma Fitchett. She's there waving. There is Greg Reeves and Alex Roker. And they're all here to help, so you can direct questions to myself or any of them privately, or you can share a question with everyone. See what works for you. This session will last up to 1 hour and it is being recorded. So if you have colleagues and friends that might be interested, there's your chance to forward it on. One last thing, it's really important, please be respectful and understanding of one another. We do encourage you to have positive and supportive spirit in these challenging times, because at the end of the day, there is so much wealth of knowledge and insights and advice that we can all share with one another to help us guide us through these uncertain times. So thank you everyone, and Natalie, now it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Michaela, for that very kind introduction. And thank you to everyone here as well for joining and taking time out of your day. I'm really pleased to see you all and to run this workshop. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit by what I mean by taking control of your new normal, although that phrase is probably something that you've come against now and are more familiar with. Certain words are in our vernacular. And in preparation for this session, you may have already thought about an area of your life that you would like to affect change, or perhaps maintain something you might have learnt that you have enjoyed from the situation that we find ourselves in. If you haven't thought about that area, start to think about it whilst obviously listening to me intently, everything else I say. And a little bit of housekeeping. You've given me this time very generously. It's actually time for you, time and space to think about something that you want. So I would encourage you to put your phone on silent, turn it over, free yourself from potential distractions if you can. And I hope that you have a pen and paper to hand so that you can write down the answers to my questions. So as Michaela said, I'm going to be asking questions and inviting you to write the answers. As she said, this will be recorded and it will be shared onto the community afterwards. So I'm going to go at a relatively good pace because I want you to think about, on instinct, your answers. So if you do need to listen back afterwards, you can check in on what those questions are if you need to repeat it. So again, it doesn't have to be a sharing session at the end, but I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'm very open to receive any question offline that you may want to ask more specifically about what we're going to be doing. So obviously the world has found itself in a very unique situation right now. And why is this session so important? I think certainly as far as our sector goes, travel, it is unprecedented and nothing like we've ever seen before. I still work in the industry, and as Michaela said, it is my family business. I have grown up in this and I've never experienced anything like it. That said, I am a very productive, proactive person, and I just want to offer the opportunity for you guys, not necessarily even to think about work, to think about something personal for you, how you can visualize something in the future, an area of your life that you want to make a change, and build a framework to go and make it happen. Through adversity and challenge, that's where change really comes. And harking back to my theatre days, Samuel Beckett said, fail again and fail better. So be brave and take this opportunity. Now, there's a couple of pop quiz here. Instagram, Twitter, PayPal, Hewlett-Packard. Might be obvious what they have in common. I don't know if any of you know off the top of your head what I'm harping on about, but actually they all started as something else. So they are all pivoted companies that were doing something else and found a situation they needed to change. I'm not necessarily saying that we have to change drastically what we're doing, but actually pivoting is just about adapting to the environment to keep moving forward. Lord knows I've done that in my time. Yeah, so much for the better. When we adapt to the situation, we move forward, and actually we learn. It's why I set the Orange Side up. I want to help people take control of the situation. It can be massively frustrating to think that life is happening to you. And with the individuals that have come to me recently over the past couple of months, they want to take control of that situation, take advantage, and really make life work for them. One of the most important things when we're doing this is understanding the destination that we're going to. We're in the travel business, we know what it's like, we're going on a journey, we always know the place that we're trying to end up at. But I think when it comes to things that we want for ourselves, sometimes we don't want to be specific about it. If we say it out loud, either to ourselves or to other people, there is that fear that we might not get there. But in order to know, in order to efficiently plan your journey, you need to have a destination, even if that destination changes. It can also really help not dwelling on the past or being overwhelmed by the current situation, keeping you future focused. So we're going to be looking at an area of your life that you would like to change. It could be something specific. It could be a fun goal. It could be a learning goal. It could be a mindset goal, all kinds of different things. I want you to feel confident in your ability when you walk away from this session. That's really important. So I'm going to encourage you to be specific and challenge you to believe in yourself. When I take a client on, I always believe in the power of their potential. And that is different for everyone. We've all got to dance to our own beat. I like a dance, some of you know that. So I always use that. Like, find your inner rhythm. Don't compare yourself to other people, because that actually can be a real thief of joy, actually, as Theodore Roosevelt said. So some things to remember when we're going through this, some of my headlines, that this is an area of your life that you want to affect change. Not something that you feel you should do. I hear the word should often, and it's the thing that people repeatedly don't do because it's normally told to them by external forces. This is your opportunity to do something that you want to do and make sure that that is true to you. We're also going to be building the vision for your vision for success, not influenced by external forces, by the environment, an area of your life that you want to change and what you think it looks like. Success means different things to different people, and I want you to be really clear about what that means for you. And as I said before, I'm going to really encourage you to be specific. Specificity is the key to life. It is the thing that allows our destination to be visceral for us, and in times of challenge or fear or even confusion, it is actually like our North Star. When we don't know, or we're in a time of adversity, if we know where we're going, it actually helps navigate that, particularly if we're fearful of something. It also increases the likelihood of it happening, most importantly. So, seeing as you have generously given me your time and you're ready to move forward, just embrace the time that we have together and think big. So, it's an area of your life that you want to affect change. The building of your vision in your idea of success, what that means to you, and also to be specific, really importantly. As I said about thinking big, just to kind of get those thought processes going, as humans, we have only been able to move forward because of people thinking beyond that which we already knew was possible. So Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile and blew our minds quite literally with that time. Before then, people thought that if the human body put themselves under that kind of pressure, that it might actually combust. Once he did it, his record was broken 46 days later. So it hadn't been done, and then it was done repeatedly. There still aren't that many people that have done it, but we thought beyond that which was capable. Same with Margaret Hamilton, who wrote the code which landed the guidance navigation system on the moon, the Apollo 11 mission. The maths didn't exist, and her team, she coined the phrase software engineer. So think big, don't limit yourself. And this is your opportunity. No one is going to look at your paper. This is just for you. This is a very pragmatic process. It's practical, and I hope that afterwards you have something very specific to walk away with. So we're going to start to move towards the area that you'd like to focus on. I am only important as a voice, so this is really your time to tune into yourself. Take a deep breath, think about it, and connect to the area of your life that you would like to affect change. Where in your life is not necessarily going exactly as you would like it to right now, that you would like to affect change? Or, as I said, maybe it's something that you have discovered in this lockdown COVID world that you really like, that you would like to keep. Is it the family dinners that you hold dear that are now going to be non-negotiable? Is it the health and fitness routine that you have managed to establish for yourself? Is it that actually you haven't yet learned French and you would really like to? Or is it work related? It could be anything, but challenge yourself. So just answer the questions in relation to what I ask. And remember, it doesn't need to be big or clever. It just needs to resonate with you and keep it personal. So I want to make you think about, start looking to the future, into the future where this area of your life is going as you would like it. And if you had to score this area of your life as going 10 out of 10 for exactly as you want it to be, start to write down what's happening. start imagining success in your eyes, in your gut, in that area of your life. What's happening there for you? What can you see? What does success look like at 10 out of 10 for you? What's the environment? Who can you see? Who is around you in that vision of 10 out of 10 successful that's giving you that indication that you're there? Paint that vision of success for yourself. What does it look like? What does it sound like? Can you hear? You're in this future vision of your success. What can you hear that gives you that indication that it's all working? Perhaps those people that you started to see, can you hear them saying something to you? Are they giving you an indication that, yeah, this is right, this is what I want? Maybe there's music. What sounds are there that are giving you that indication that this is exactly as you want it to be? Is there something maybe that you're saying in response to them? What are you saying back to the other people? Sounds from the environment, maybe, not necessarily just people or music, things that give you that indication of where you are in your idea of 10 out of 10. And now,
Hi.
hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Now that you're hearing these sounds and that you've seen everything, how does it make you feel? This is exactly as you imagined it to be in the like you sat down and you thought, I want it to look like this and I want it to sound like this, and these people are saying these things to me. How does that make you feel? You envisaged this, you made this happen. How does that make you feel? Really connect to that. And looking at all of these things now, seeing and feeling these things, what does all of that give you? What do you get because of this? Imagine how you are going to benefit from all of these things that you have imagined for yourself. How are you going to benefit from that? What's going to be the best thing about all of this happening? How can you quantify that? The best thing for you. Now, as with any journey, now you have an idea of the destination. It really all comes down to making the first step. So start to think about what are some key milestones that are going to give you an indication that you're on the way. If that's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 brilliant, what are those landmark signposts that let you know that you're on the way, you're on your journey? If those things start happening, that's going to give you that, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm on the way. Just trying to break it down. How will you know? How will you know you're on the journey? I hope that as you start to see these milestones, you're giving yourself a mini high five because it means you're on your way. These are going to be touch points that allow you to know that you are achieving success. Things that you can celebrate for yourself to keep you going, to keep you moving forward. And now you have painted that picture for yourself. If that main vision is 10 out of 10 successful, if you had to put a number against where you are now in relation to that picture, what number would you score yourself from 1 to 10? One being the very, very beginning, maybe even haven't started, it's your scale, you can judge it, and 10 being absolutely there. What number would you score yourself at right now? Be honest with yourself as well. Don't be too hard on yourself. Now, looking at that number, what would you need to do to move you just one number higher? Just one number. You've listed some milestones. What might be the first number, the first milestone that's going to move you one number higher? If your 10 out of 10 is to run a marathon and you haven't run a mile in a while, maybe that's the thing. Maybe you actually need to buy some trainers because you're only at 1 on your scale. Everyone's on a different scale. What do you need to do to move you just one number higher? And how can you articulate that move that lets you know? How can you write it in a positive way to give you something to work towards and put a date on it? If 10 out of 10 is in a year's time, if it's a long-term thing, is there something that you can achieve by next week? Is there something, is the first move to move you one number higher? When does that need to happen by? Make it nice and realistic. I don't want you faltering at the first hurdle. I want you to keep going. Check in with yourself. Don't put something impossible. Make it achievable. When can you achieve that one number higher? That's your first step. You just want to go one number higher. So in getting to that one number higher, where are you now? What's going on? If you really asked yourself, have you already made some moves that made you think, actually, I've got this going on? Yeah, I've already done these things to get me there. Assess the reality of your current situation on that first step. What's going on for you right now in relation to that? What's in your control? What are all the things that are in your control to move you one number higher? We know what's in our control. Actually, that can be quite freeing. Plenty of things that we can do that we know are going to help us move towards that. Now, if you know all the things that are in your control, what are the things that might be out of your control? This is not designed to freak you out. It's just to sort of face the reality of the situation. What are the potential obstacles? Something that might be out of your control. It's just to name it, to know it. And if you think about it, are some of these things that are out of your control, or potentially obstacles, is that what might have stopped you from doing anything before? What might have prevented you from doing more in the past, up to this point now? It's important that we know our obstacles so we can work out how we're going to get around them. Definitely basic problem solving when it comes to events. What can we foresee? Do you feel like you have all the resources you need to make it happen? We'll work out how to get them in a bit if you haven't, but just, do you feel like you have everything you need? Is there anything missing that you don't have that you think you need in order to get you to that one number higher? Now, you know what the destination looks like. You know what your big first milestone is, and also where you are with it, what moves you've already made, what might be standing in your way. Now you need to start thinking of all the options that are available to you to get you there. This has got to be like a free flow stream of consciousness. If you had all the time, energy, and money in the world to get you to that point, that one number higher, what would you do? Open your mind, think laterally, pull yourself up to your full height of all of the brilliant things that you have done in your life. And I am sure you have overcome much adversity to get stuff happen, to get stuff done. If you could do anything to make this happen, what would you do? Can you potentially think of 3 more things? I hope that you get indentation marks on your finger and wrist ache while you're doing this, because it's just all coming out of you. Loads of options. What are you going to do? Fear of failure is often something I hear far too often. And actually, you know what? I'm taking that away. Failure is not an option. You can only succeed. What are you going to do? There will be no judgment from anyone. There are no consequences. Go for it. Is there anyone you need to ask for help? Are there people you know, friends, colleagues, that person that you heard has done this? Would they help you? Do you need to ask them? Can you write 2 more names down if you need to? What's missing from that list? I gave you all the time, energy, and money in the world. If I gave you more, what else would you do? Now, looking at that list, it's your list. Is there anything else you might want to add? This is always the bit when I'm working with people on an individual basis who suddenly go, oh, well, actually, there is that thing. This is your life. I'm not the best judge of it. You know. You have got all the good ideas. Anything else? And take a little minute to have a look at all of those ideas you've just had. All of those things you could possibly do to move you 1 number higher. How does that feel? Like you've got a lot to do? Freeing? It might possibly be that that still kind of highlights the question of, well, where do I possibly start? But in the same way that you were identifying the milestones, you've just got to start with 1 step. So looking at that list of options that you've created yourself, which one is the right first move? What is going to be the most useful thing for you to do to get started? You just want it to be the most useful, have the biggest impact, and actually probably the easiest one. Which one is that going to be? Oh, I just gave you some ideas about impact, easy to get started. But what appeals to you most about that first one? Why is that the right move? Is it because of those things? Is it something else? What appeals to you most? Think about why you've chosen that first move. Now, how realistic is it for you to achieve that? Is it very realistic because it's easy? Is that why? That's cool. But just make sure that you understand how realistic it is and what the impact will be for you to move you along in this process. Having decided that, what will happen if you don't do it? Now, I never like to assume anything, so the answer is going to be different for all of you. But what will happen if you don't do that first thing? Think about how important that 10 out of 10 is and that first number higher. This is your first step. Now you've identified this first move from your big list. How are you going to go about making that move, that first thing? Can you give yourself a few clear action points that are going to help you with that first thing? Nice and tangible, nice and achievable. It's your plan. Remember, the more specific you are, the more likely it is to happen. And now you know the things that you need to do. When are you going to do that specifically? When are you going to be able to start? It might be that there will be a burning desire when we say goodbye, that you can kick it straight into action after this call. It might be tomorrow. If it was just you and I working, you said kind of the end of the week. I'd say before close of business on Friday. When does that mean for you? But remember, it is for you. Think about the time that you need. Give yourself a clear point to start. And thinking about that time to start, how committed are you to making that happen? If you had to score that commitment to start from 1 to 10, and with commitment, I want it to be enthusiasm and intention and happiness, looking forward. Give yourself a number that lets you know. Draw a circle around it, underline it, maybe a couple more depending on your intensity. And think about maybe after this, once you've done that, revisiting that list of to-dos. Can you do the same thing against those once you've finished? Once you've done the first step? Now I'd like you to go back a bit in your writing and think about how you articulated that first move that you're going to make to move you one number higher. By this date, I will have achieved this and I will have that. And however you've written it, look at it, connect with it. Is it succinct enough? Does it really burn inside you and move you and make you ready? Does it reflect that number that you drew a circle around? Does it still mean, is it as important to you to take control of this situation? Make sure the words resonate with you. And as I said, they are your words. They're your North Star when you're, maybe struggling over the next couple of days or something else gets in the way. Remember what you want to get to. Keep it clear. Now, in a relatively short period of time, you have just identified something that you want. You've created a very clear picture of what that is for yourself. You've built a framework to go out and make it happen. And I really hope that you believe in your ability to do it. Because I truly believe in the potential of everyone to go out and achieve what they want. We just have to know the obstacles that might be getting in our way and how we can best manage them. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that. I hope that looking at that list, looking at your plan, you feel excited and positive and committed to go and make it happen. And keep reminding yourself the benefit to you in achieving it. And most importantly, that it's your plan. It's no one else's. Thank you very much. I would love to invite you maybe to ask any questions that you might have. I appreciate that what you have done is very personal to you. As Michaela said, this is a safe space, free of any judgment. Judgment isn't helpful, but you may not want to talk about your grandmaster plan. Having said that, you may wish to share your experiences, or maybe you have something specific to ask. So if no one has anything specific, I have some questions, but here endeth the broadcast, hopefully starting a conversation instead. Well, maybe I can ask some questions if anyone would like to share. Did anyone come with the intention to do something else, but ended up thinking about, did anyone come with the intention to do one thing, but ended up thinking about something else?
I did.
Yes?
Yeah. I thought I was going to do something, and instead, when you were taking us through, I ended up doing something completely different to what I initially thought.
Did that shock you?
Yeah, it's just a little bit, yeah.
Did you
But
feel
very useful?
good?
Very useful.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you?
Anyone else did that? Anyone else did that? Started off with something, or everyone stuck to their plan, initial plan?
Great. Did anyone find that there were some really big challenges that they were facing whilst doing it? Was anything kind of difficult?
Yeah. The hardest thing for me is like when you measure like the steps that you need to take to achieve the goal, and weighing up which steps will have the most impact versus time put into it. So it was valuable in that respect because you're more pragmatic about how you reach the destination.
Yeah.
And perhaps you start thinking about maybe some of the steps you would have maybe perhaps thought were best to take, actually maybe aspirational steps, but not actually productive steps, for example. Yeah, so I found that quite tricky, but it was beneficial to look at it.
Trying to assess which ones might give you the greatest impact.
Yeah.
Maria, you've asked what are the most common obstacles for people to achieving their goals? I often find, particularly at the moment, that it is the individual standing in their own way.
What I personally found is that I didn't know what to expect. I generally go into meetings very much not knowing what's happening, and that's my way to keep an open mind. But I also, to me, you know, the way you were guiding us through brought it very much back to ourselves, you know, like at the end of the day, that doesn't really, you know, there's a lot of things which are out of our control, but there's a lot of things which are in our control, because even for those things that are out of our control, you know, our attitude comes into our way to bridge, you know, the gap between what I can do and what unfortunately I cannot do. So, you know, I just think it's, to be honest, I think that the way we achieve our goals sometimes has nothing to do with the final goal itself. It's to do about the way we thinking about something makes us, you know, maybe forget the little small things, the petty things, you know, that we all have, you know, our own, you know, like, you know, sometimes we say it's children's behavior, but, you know, I think adults would never abandon that altogether. You know, we can be petty, we can be mean, we can be, you know, self-absorbed, you know. So I think once you start thinking about your goal, you have to decide what's more important. You know, not liking that, or you achieving that goal, you know what I mean? And therefore, I think there's a lot of work there. I personally think it's you know, it's good work, has to be done every so often, anyhow.
Thank you, Paula. It actually, it kind of ties in with, I was answering Maria's question as well. Even just yesterday, I had a conversation with a client who keeps being afraid to do things. She keeps saying, I just think I'm going to get it wrong. I just think I'm going to get it wrong. And, you know, that stems from fear. And I tried to identify an area in her life before where she felt fearless, or that fear didn't seem to hold her back from something. I do that a lot for myself. I was 8 years old mostly, so what would my 8-year-old self do? But like, what was the time that you were fearless? And she was going to go and do a job that she felt that she was kind of unqualified for. And she didn't do the job in the way that she had expected it to. So the outcome was not necessarily successful. But she said everything she learned in that process was the biggest period of growth in her life. And actually, that for me is one of the most exciting things when I'm working with people. Yes, I care about you achieving your goals if they are important to you, but it's the self-awareness and the learning that you do to get there. Because actually, you know, you're trying to climb a mountain, but when you get to the top, it might not be that great anyway. So it's all about the journey that you go on, which I think maybe just looking at Amit's question about it's okay not to have a plan. Of course it's okay not to have a plan. That's cool, but it's when we don't feel necessarily in control of the situation, it's good to have a point to focus on. And anyway, you know, it's important to have a plan, but plans can change.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Was that a hand up, Scotty?
It was, yeah. Thanks, Natalie, for taking us through that. It's really good. The one question that you asked, where I felt like a noticeable response within myself, was the question of what's prevented you from getting there already? You know, what's prevented you from doing something? And you know, and you talked about the fear of failure, and the other word you used was, you know, was about judgment. And I certainly think it's something I've experienced with my own goals is that, you know, there's often a fear of stepping into something because of what might happen.
Yeah.
And I talked to someone about this last week, and I don't know if you've heard of this, the metaphor of the donkey between the two bales of hay. Have you heard this one? And there's two big piles of hay, and the donkey stood in the middle, and they're both equidistant from the donkey, and they look kind of similar, and they both look really tasty. And the donkey stands there and just can't decide which one to go to, and it starves to death. You know, and it's quite an interesting thing about decision making, and the fear of stepping into something is like, what's the worst thing that happened? Is one of them, you know, it doesn't taste very nice. Well, then go and try the other one. You know, it's and so, you know, it's just the question you asked about what's stopping you getting there already. Yeah, and it just really made me think about my own, you know, the fear of being paralyzed by indecision sometimes. So it's no, so I really enjoyed that question. It's made me think about a few things. Things I probably already know, but it's just reminded me of some of the elements, I guess. So thanks, Natalie.
Thank you, Scotty. And I think, yeah, two things there. I think, you know, when we know we have options, but we decide to, when we are paralyzed by fear, then nothing happens. We stay the same. So it's always about what is the most important thing about moving forward. Thank you.
For me, it brought up a lot of anxiety.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's all good. It's something you have to get through to order to be able to achieve it. And if you can't get past the anxiety, you won't get there. So I have to figure out how to get there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with, you know, I can relate to feelings of anxiety. One of the things that I do try and focus on though is the breaking it down of everything, because when everything seems so big, that's when I think things can be difficult or cause us those feelings. So that's when we'll nail down more of the specificity, making it really short term. Just get me to that point and that point and that point. So maybe you can be a little more forensic with yourself in your list, Darby. But
Okay.
I hope you still enjoyed it.
Oh no, it was very good. It was very good. My hand hurt from writing.
Good. That's all I really wanted.
I just personally think that often in our lives, we, you know, at least where I come from, where we all come from, right? There's too much emphasis on what goal we have in front of us, you know. It's like, you know, because obviously we share those goals, you know. I'm gonna become a hairdresser. I'm going to, you know, open a shop. I'm going to travel the world. You know, there's always something, you know. We don't share, obviously, with our people, with, you know, the people that we're talking about, maybe how we're going to achieve that sometimes. Or we share that and then we feel embarrassed when we don't achieve it. But then on the other hand, we don't share what we have learned, you know, in the meantime, because maybe, you know, we were never meant to travel the world, you know, something got into our way, but we have learned something while we tried to achieve that. And I think that's what's, you know, that's sometimes what's lost. And when sometimes you have people that don't, you know, they feel they you know, they might want to try something, but they don't have it within themselves. They might not even try because they see failure in front of them by somebody else. And I think it's, you know, I really like the fact that somebody said, I don't have a plan. You know, what about just breathing? I mean, I think that's a plan already, you know, like waking up in the morning and choosing to get out of bed. Sometimes it's the only plan you need for the day. I personally think that, you know, I just, you know.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm not here to say that that's not the way. And I definitely think that, yeah, breathing's important. Sometimes I run another workshop and I do this as 2 parts. The first half an hour is actually doing Yin Yoga. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Yin, but you hold the postures for up to 5 minutes. It's very slow and we combine breath work, not me, I have another practitioner. I just do the talking afterwards. But it kind of gets your body in a really good physical place, calms you right down in order to then do this planning. But I think, I didn't really say this, but I find success actually to be a bit of a dirty word. I don't think it's a dirty word, but I do think it's variable and I think it's transient and it just means such different things to different people. And too often we align it with financial gain or our careers. And actually, if I say to you, what do you want to be successful? You probably just want to be happy. So actually, this is as well an invitation to realign success with happiness and not necessarily those financial trappings that we kind of go, oh, it must mean that I'm making, you know, maybe you want to make a load of money and that'll make you happy. So I congratulate you in that. But it really is about living to you, whatever that is. And maybe that's just a good breath.
One of the things that I've learned in this COVID is that you cannot be happy by yourself. You cannot. You know, like what in the sense that when you talk to people from all over the world, you know, there is that sense of heaviness. You know, we are all in very uncertain times, and it doesn't really matter. I cannot be happy. I'm generally a very happy person, and I love people in general, but I feel And if it's not of my own, I feel what other people are going through and I understand. So I think the one thing that made us, at least make me realize is that, which I've always knew, is you cannot be happy by yourself. Whatever I achieve is not, if it's not achieved by other people too, doesn't make me happy. I can't dance on my own tune. I probably be watching somebody else dance and maybe join in and, and be happy that I'm, that maybe I learn, a few of the moves,
Yeah.
I just think we are much more, we're much more like our, animals, they feed, I don't want to say that word, but it starts with F as well. They sleep, and that's it. We're human. We are that. We're just, and if you're sad or if you're unhappy, if you're unhealthy or for whatever, it just affects all of us, and that's how I see. That's why I think we need to learn from COVID. We really do. It's the only way forward. It's learning.
I would agree. Did we have a question down, Abhay? You're in my bottom left hand.
Yes. Yeah, I was just listening to when you were guiding through the steps of first step or second step, and initially I was not really thinking a lot, but then I started chalking out my plans. I mean, success or reaching a goal is a very relative term for everybody. I mean, that changes for everybody. But when I started chalking down my plans, I realized I'm only on the step 2 as of now. So then I could really put it down that what will be my next third step and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth. And then I started chalking down that on the third step, what will be my obstacles probably that will come into the path, or on the fourth step, what will be my obstacles, which I may have to come with, which I still anticipate today. So it gave me really very good feel that, okay, now I'm only on the second step, so I've still to climb a lot of steps.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there. But did it feel good to know all of the steps that lie ahead?
For me, the steps are achievable. I mean, it's not like that. It will take time, and yeah, that's true.
Good. Well, thank you for committing to write it down. Well, that very neatly brings us to 3 o'clock, actually. So unless anyone else has anything to say, thank you so much for sharing with me, actually, and with everyone else your experiences. It means the world to me, actually. And if anyone would like to speak in more detail or had any specific questions that they would like to share with the whole group, then please feel free. You can reach me on the Connections community. My company is called The Orange Side.com. I'm on Instagram, The Orange Side, or LinkedIn, Natalie Macaluso.
Thank you very much, Natalie. That was really invaluable. I really, really enjoyed going through this, and that made me think a lot. I think I've got a lot to think about. So really, really, really enjoyed that. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone for listening, contributing, and getting involved in such a big way as well. As Natalie said, you can contact her via social media, but she will also be having a space in the mentor area under our Connections community. And you can chat to her, you can email her through there as well. And we will be recording, we have recorded this, and we will be putting her recording there as well. Don't know how many of you know, but during the week of the 13th to the 17th of July, we're having a Connections Global Virtual Week. And all of us at Connections are very much look forward to delivering this week. It'll be full of one-to-one meetings, as well as a lot of group experiences from our partner tourist boards from all over the world. So it'll enable members of the Connections community to meet virtually on a one-to-one basis. I don't think we've got a lot of other options at the moment, as international travel is being so restricted. But as I said, there is quite a rich program to take advantage of as well, from activities from all over the world, from meditation from Mexico to learning cooking Italian recipes to experiencing and learning about Californian wine. So this is just to name a few. So we're really looking forward to that. In the meantime, I hope that you're enjoying the New Connections online community. We've gone mobile. We could see a lot of countries are being now releasing the lockdowns and being a little bit more open about where people can go. Therefore, we thought it'd be important to have the Connections community on your mobile. So you can now access the Connections community from your mobile as well. For those of you who would like to ask any questions about the Connections community, we're here to help. But for now, Natalie, thank you very much for taking the time to go through this invaluable workshop. I hope you all enjoyed it, and take care. Have the good, healthy, happy rest of the week. But from every one of us at Connections here, it's goodbye for now.